Prepare for a shocking revelation that will unveil the true face of power and manipulation. What appeared to be a calculated response to an international conflict, in reality, conceals a web of deceptions and decisions made in the shadows. This isn't just another chapter in the history of geopolitics. It's a deep dive into the art of reality distortion, where truth is a bargaining chip and the hidden agenda dictates the rules. We're about to expose the behind the scenes of an operation that redefined the limits of transparency and ethics, forcing us to question everything we've been told. If you're tired of official narratives and seek the raw truth, hit that like button and subscribe now. Because the real story is far more complex and disturbing than you can imagine. And it's time to peel back every layer. The world watched in disbelief as Israel launched its initial strikes on Iran. President Trump, initially appearing to distance himself, quickly shifted gears. Within days, a comprehensive bombing mission was underway, shrouded in political and military trickery. The White House, through Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, publicly announced Trump would decide on a strike within 2 weeks, citing a substantial chance of negotiations. This statement, however, was almost entirely a deception. Military preparations for a complex attack on Iran's nuclear facilities were already in full swing. Less than 30 hours after this public pronouncement, the order was given, plunging the U.S. into a volatile Middle East conflict. How could such a critical decision be so deliberately obscured? What hidden motives drove this calculated misdirection, and what does it reveal about the true nature of power in Washington? This elaborate deception unfolded over 8 chaotic days, from Israel's initial strikes to the moment B-2 stealth bombers departed Missouri for Iran. Interviews with administration officials, Trump allies, Pentagon brass, and other insiders reveal a frantic internal struggle. Different factions vied for influence, attempting to sway a president seemingly adrift between war, diplomacy, or some murky combination. Trump, meanwhile, reveled in the ambiguity, gleefully telling reporters he could decide 1 second before it's due because things change, especially with war.
Hamas is responsible for
His
this
public
war.
pronouncements like the
It invaded our
"everyone should
towns,
evacuate Tehran"
murdered our
post on
people,
Truth Social
raped
generated
our women,
significant angst within the Pentagon
kidnapped
and
our
U.S.
loved
Central
ones.
Command.
Hamas
Military
refused
planners worried
offer
these
after
blustery
offer
statements were giving
to
Iran
release
too
our
much
hostages.
warning. In response,
In the
they
past 2
incorporated
weeks,
their own deception.
Israel did not
A second
initiate
group
any
of
military
B-2
action
bombers with
in the
transponders
hope
on
that
would
Hamas
fly west over
would
the
change
Pacific,
course.
creating a
While
false
that didn't
impression
happen,
of the attack's
While
timing
Israel
and
accepted
direction.
the offer of
The
President
actual
Trump's
strike,
special envoy,
however,
Steve
would
Witkoff,
come from an entirely different
Hamas
route. The strike plan was largely finalized even as Trump issued his 2-week statement. Refueling tankers and fighter jets were already in position, and additional protection for American forces in the region was being arranged. This 2 weeks ruse, along with the B-2 feint, served a dual purpose. It bought time for last-minute diplomacy, while also attempting to clean up the mess created by the president's own telegraphing of the impending attack. As Ms. Leavitt later stated, the mission successfully accomplished one of the most complex and historic military operations of all time, a claim that underscores the administration's pride in this intricate and highly secretive maneuver. Let's be brutally honest. What we witnessed was less about strategic genius and more about a reality TV show producer playing geopolitical chess with real lives. Trump, the self-proclaimed master negotiator, initially warned Netanyahu against striking Iran. Yet hours after the first Israeli bombs dropped, he was marveling at their brilliant operation, suddenly hinting at his own secret involvement. It's like watching a child claim credit for a complex Lego castle built by someone else, then demanding to smash it with a bigger, shinier toy. The sheer audacity of the 2-week statement, delivered while the military was already prepped for launch, is pure Trumpian theater. It's the political equivalent of telling your date you'll think about a second date while you're already halfway out the door. And the Pentagon's decoy B-2s? A desperate attempt to cover for a commander-in-chief who's the biggest threat to OPSEC. Imagine the military's frustration, trying to execute a top-secret mission while their boss is live tweeting the play-by-play. It's less art of war and more Dumb and Dumber meets Dr. Strangelove. The internal struggle among Trump's advisors, desperately trying to divine his intentions from his latest Truth Social rant or Fox News obsession, paints a pathetic picture. They're like frantic court jesters trying to interpret the burps of a mad king. And the fact that Tucker Carlson's anti-war commentary infuriated Trump, not because of its content, but because it dared to offer an alternative narrative to his warmongering echo chamber, speaks volumes. This wasn't about national interest. It was about ego, ratings, and the insatiable need for a win, no matter the cost. The bunker buster bombs weren't just weapons. They were phallic symbols of American exceptionalism, wielded by a man who takes pride in destruction. This entire episode was a terrifying glimpse into a presidency where reality is negotiable, and the fate of nations hangs on the whims of a blustering showman. The immediate aftermath of this audacious strike saw Trump declare a triumphant victory, claiming Iran's nuclear capabilities were completely and totally obliterated. He even suggested the conflict could end as a one-off mission if Iran would negotiate. However, this optimism was quickly tempered by American officials, who by Sunday afternoon admitted that while Iran's facilities were severely damaged, they were not entirely destroyed. The long-term consequences of this misdirection and military action are far-reaching. The risk of a wider regional war remains dangerously high, with potential retaliatory attacks that could drag the U.S. into a sustained conflict. Oil prices, already volatile, could surge further, impacting global economies. There's also the grim prospect of civil war within Iran and a potential refugee crisis, adding to the already immense humanitarian challenges in the region. Furthermore, this event highlights the precarious balance between presidential power and military strategy. Trump's disregard for operational security, openly telegraphing military moves on social media, sets a dangerous precedent. It forces the military to engage in elaborate deceptions, not against the enemy, but against their own commander-in-chief. The incident also raises critical questions about the influence of media figures like Tucker Carlson and the internal factions within an administration, all vying to shape a president's decisions on matters of war and peace. The world now watches to see if this one-off mission truly marks an end, or if it's merely the opening act of a much larger and potentially devastating geopolitical drama. So what's the real takeaway from this shocking saga of deception and destruction? It's a stark reminder that in the high-stakes world of international politics, what you see is rarely what you get. The calculated misdirection, the public bluster, and the behind-the-scenes maneuvers paint a chilling picture of how easily a nation can be steered towards conflict under a veil of manufactured consent. This wasn't just a military operation. It was a performance designed to project power and control a narrative. Now we want to hear from you. What do you think about these revelations? Does this kind of strategic deception justify the risk? Or does it expose a dangerous disregard for transparency and accountability? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters in this critical conversation. If you found this breakdown insightful and believe in the power of truth, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel for more unfiltered analysis,